Imagine a moment, a split second where the world demands an impossible choice. Two paths diverge, each leading to an outcome you dread, an ethical cost you must bear. There is no right answer, only a decision that will forever echo within you. These are the crucibles of the human spirit, moral dilemmas, situations where our deepest values clash, where duty conflicts with compassion, and the very fabric of our ethics is tested. How do we navigate these treacherous waters? What internal mechanisms guide us when the path ahead is shrouded in an inescapable fog of should and must not? This is the story of how our minds grapple with the unbearable weight of difficult choices, exploring the science, philosophy, and psychology behind the decisions that define us. At its core, a moral dilemma is a conflict. Not just any conflict, but one between two or more moral imperatives, where obeying one inevitably means transgressing another. There's no escaping the moral taint. Whatever action is taken, or not taken, will result in a moral wrong. Consider the infamous Sophie's choice, a mother forced to choose which of her children would live and which would die. Or the lifeboat ethics scenario, where survival demands sacrificing some for the benefit of others when resources are scarce. These aren't mere puzzles, they are reflections of real world crises, from medical ethics to wartime decisions. What makes them so profoundly challenging is the absence of a clear right answer. Unlike a logical problem with a single correct solution, moral dilemmas force us to choose the least wrong option, often leaving an indelible mark of guilt, regret, or moral injury. They expose the cracks in our ethical frameworks and the limits of our capacity for rational judgment. When faced with a moral dilemma, our brain doesn't simply compute a logical answer. Instead, it becomes a battleground where two distinct systems of thought engage in a complex interplay. Psychologists refer to these as System 1 and System 2 thinking. System 1 is our fast, intuitive, and emotional response system. It's the gut feeling, the immediate aversion to causing harm, the impulse to save a child without conscious thought. System 2, conversely, is our slow, deliberate, and rational processor. It's the part of us that weighs consequences, eyes rules, and calculates outcomes. Neuroscientific studies using fMRI scans have revealed fascinating insights. When confronted with impersonal dilemmas, like the classic trolley problem where you pull a lever, the brain's prefrontal cortex associated with rational thought shows significant activity. However, in personal dilemmas, such as pushing a large person in front of a trolley to save 5, the amygdala and medial prefrontal cortex light up, indicating a strong emotional response and conflict. This suggests that our initial, often visceral, reaction is driven by emotion, particularly in aversion to directly inflicting harm, but our rational brain then steps in, attempting to override or justify these emotional impulses, creating the agonizing tension we feel when making these choices. The struggle between what feels right and what seems logical is a hallmark of human morality. Throughout history, philosophers have sought to provide frameworks for navigating these moral quagmires. These ethical theories offer different lenses through which to analyze and resolve dilemmas, though they often lead to vastly different conclusions. One prominent framework is deontology, or duty-based ethics, championed by Immanuel Kant. Deontology posits that certain actions are inherently right or wrong, regardless of their consequences. It emphasizes moral duties and rules, universal principles that should always be followed. For a deontology, lying is always wrong, even if it could prevent a greater harm. The act itself is what matters. In stark contrast stands consequentialism, most famously articulated as utilitarianism by Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. This framework argues that the morality of an action is determined by its outcome. The right choice is the one that produces the greatest good for the greatest number of people. If sacrificing one life saves 5, a utilitarian might argue that it is the moral imperative. Then there's virtue ethics, rooted in the teachings of Aristotle. This approach shifts the focus from actions or consequences to the character of the moral agent. It asks what would a virtuous person do in this situation. It emphasizes developing moral virtues like courage, compassion, honesty, and wisdom, believing that a person of good character will naturally make the right choices. Each framework offers a powerful, yet incomplete, guide. Deontology might prevent an act of individual sacrifice but could lead to a greater overall suffering. Utilitarianism might condone sacrificing an innocent to save many, which can feel deeply unsettling. Virtue ethics provides a compass for character but might struggle with specific, immediate dilemmas requiring a concrete action. The challenge lies in which framework, if any, we intuitively or consciously apply when the clock is ticking. Beyond philosophy and neuroscience, our decisions are profoundly shaped by unseen forces, cognitive biases, cultural backgrounds, and the powerful pull of empathy. Our minds are not perfectly rational machines, they are prone to systematic errors in judgment. Cognitive biases can warp our perception of a dilemma. The framing effect, for instance, shows how the way a problem is presented can sway our choice, even if the underlying facts are the same. Confirmation bias can lead us to seek out information that supports our pre-existing moral stance, ignoring contradictory evidence. These biases can subtly push us towards a decision that feels right, but isn't necessarily the most ethical or well-reasoned. Our cultural background also plays a crucial role. Moral values are not universal, they are deeply ingrained through upbringing, societal norms, religious beliefs, and historical experiences. What is considered a moral imperative in one culture might be seen as secondary or even wrong in another. The cultural lens influences our sense of duty, our definition of the greater good, and what constitutes as a virtuous character. And then there is empathy, our ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Empathy can be a powerful motivator for moral action, compelling us to alleviate suffering. However, it can also be selective, leading us to prioritize those we feel closer to, or those who are more visible, over others who might be in greater need. The presence or absence of empathy can profoundly shift the moral landscape of a dilemma, sometimes leading to altruism, other times to indifference. The act of making a difficult moral decision is often just the beginning. The aftermath can be a profound psychological journey, marked by regret, guilt, and even moral injury. When we are forced to choose between two wrongs, the burden of that choice can linger for years, impacting our mental health and self-perception. Moral injury is a term increasingly used to describe the deep psychological wounds sustained when one's moral compass is violated, either by one's own actions, the actions of others, or by circumstances beyond one's control. It's a wound to the soul that can erode trust, meaning, and a sense of purpose. Yet, even in the face of such profound challenges, humanity demonstrates an incredible capacity for resilience, learning to live with the consequences of difficult choices, to forgive oneself, and to integrate these experiences into a more nuanced understanding of morality is crucial for psychological healing. Reflection, open discussion, and seeking support are vital steps in this process. By understanding the complexities of our decisions, acknowledging the limitations of our knowledge, and accepting the inherent tragedy of certain dilemmas, we can begin to build moral resilience. These experiences, though painful, can refine our ethical frameworks, deepen our compassion, and ultimately help us grow into more thoughtful and empathetic individuals. From the personal struggles within our minds to the grand philosophical debates across centuries, the question of how we make difficult decisions, especially moral dilemmas, remains one of humanity's most enduring challenges. There are no easy answers, no universal algorithms to apply. But in exploring these dilemmas, we gain more than just insight into our decision-making processes. We gain a deeper understanding of ourselves, our values, and the intricate tapestry of human experience. Each difficult choice we face, each moral tightrope we walk ultimately shapes not only who we are as individuals but also the kind of society we collectively build. So, As you encounter your own crossroads, remember the intricate dance of reason and emotion, the Li, sons of history, and the profound impact of your choices. For in those moments of impossible decisive, we are truly tested, and in that testing, we reveal the very essence of what it means to be human. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We value your thoughts greatly. Let us know in the comments.